Hi everyone, this is a video looking at the EDUQAS GCSE English Language Paper 2 question 1 and question 3. So we're going to go through a model question based on the Ben Fogle Captain Scott exam and look at question 1 and question 3. So the first text is based on these three guys here, Ben Fogle, James Cracknell and another guy, and they did a race to the South Pole. So question 1, the main things you've got to remember about question 1 are, it's 3 marks, so you'll get 3 questions, A, B and C worth 1 mark each. What do you need to write? So you need to write in full sentences. What do you need to remember? Specific details. So this is an information retrieval question, meaning they will ask you to find something and you've got to find it in the text. What do you need to avoid? So quotes, terminology, single words. So we don't just want you to put one word, and also we don't need any analysis. This should only take you 3 or 4 minutes, so don't waste time writing massive answers. And there you go, A, B and C up there. So that'll be question 1, so it's the first one on your page, so nice and easy. And you need to identify the keywords in the question and scan through the text to find them. So like I said, it's search and find, so it's testing your ability to identify information and ideas in the text. You'll be asked to look for explicit points, so this is the obvious bit, so for example, it was cold, and the implicit points, the subtle hidden meaning, so I'm not just saying it was cold, I'm saying he had to wear his coat as he slept. So I'm making the reader do a little bit of work to read between the lines. So a few tips then, so use whole sentences but keep them brief, don't copy out whole chunks and sentences. The examiners call this indiscriminate copying or plagiarism, so if you're copying out huge chunks, just shows you don't really know the answer, so maybe remember to be specific with your answers. So I'm going to show you a few teacher tips for this question. Number 1. Read each question twice. So I know this seems simple, but a lot of people might get the wrong end of the stick. You might make a mistake what's needed in the question. So read each question twice. Number 2, read with the question in mind. Use a highlighter as you read to pick out key evidence that will help you answer the question. Teacher tip 3, be specific. Only highlight relevant words or phrases. Too much will make it difficult to work out which evidence to use. And there you go. So pause if you want to write down my teacher tips. So many of my students fail to gain full marks because they simply didn't read the question properly. Students need to answer in a simple sentence type answer. So for example, list 4 things from this part of the text about the man's physical appearance. He had wild eyes would be correct or be accepted, but a lot of students just put things like wild eyes. So it's not answering the question of things about the man's physical appearance, it just says wild eyes. Things like that will be incorrect and they won't be accepted. So make sure you just do a simple sentence. Really important on this question, like I said, it's 3 marks. It should only take 3 or 4 minutes. If you can't find something in the text, just leave it. There's no point wasting 5 or 6 minutes looking for 1 mark. So what I would say to my students is if you can't find it, leave a couple of lines on your page, and if you want to go back to it at the end of the exam, you can do that. So here's the article we're looking at, so feel free to pause and read the article. So remember with this exam you'll get 2 texts, one from the 21st century, which is this one, and you'll get one from the 19th century later on. Questions 1 and 2 will always be in the 21st century text. So the questions are, read the article. A, why did Ben Fogle think he was going to die on his journey to the South Pole? B, how much time did the men spend skiing each day? C, how did James Cracknell cope with the long days on the expedition? So all you got to do, search and find, look for these questions in the exam. So tip is highlight the keywords and try and find them in the text. So maybe you could highlight in A, you could highlight die. In B, highlight skiing. In C, highlight James Cracknell. So remember the teacher tips, read each question twice, highlight key information, but only highlight information you need. So there's the answer, so pause if you want to read it yourself. If you want to get the exam, all you need to do is type in EDUQAS Ben Fogle into Google and you can find it there. So A, why did Ben Fogle think he was going to die on his journey to the South Pole? Well, the crevices can be a mile deep and I was terrified I would be dragged down. I thought I could die here. Okay, so he thought he was going to fall down a crevice. B, how much time do the men spend skiing each day? Around 16 hours a day. C, how did James Cracknell cope with long days on the expedition? It says that he and Cracknell listened to Andrew Marr's History of Modern Britain. So I've highlighted it in the text. Now I'm going to write down my answers. So A, why did Ben Fogle think he was going to die on his journey to the South Pole? He'd walked onto a dangerous crevasse. Okay, so I'm not going into massive detail. I don't need any analysis. I'm just answering the question. B, how much time did the men spend skiing each day? 16 hours a day. Really simple. But I'm not just putting 16 hours because that's not going to get me the mark. 16 hours a day makes sense. How did James Cracknell cope with the long days on the expedition? He listened to Andrew Marr's History of the Modern Britain. So it's all in the text here, and all I've done is put it into a simple sentence here for an easy 3 marks. So question 3, the only difference between question 3 and question 1 is basically the different text. So question 3 again is retrieval, so it's exactly the same as the second one. The only difference is you're looking at the 19th century text now. So there it is, question 3. So question 3 is very much like question 1, but will be on the 19th century text like I just said. Important is, don't get stressed out. A lot of students get stressed out because it's the 19th century. They start to think it's going to be even harder. This question is particularly hard, so just treat it the same as the 21st century one. You don't need to stress out about it. Just read the information and you should be able to answer this question pretty easily. So again, it's a search and find question just like question 1. So hopefully you'll be a bit better on this question now you've looked at the video. So to improve, just keep testing yourself against the clock for this question. It's quite an easy question to do if you give yourself 10 minutes, but give yourself 3 or 4 minutes to see if you can really get down to a really quick time on it.